The sky above the broken moon was filled with fire. Flames danced across the blackness, lighting up shattered rocks that floated around the surface. Pieces of metal and stone spun in silence, drifting through space like forgotten ghosts. On the ground, the war had left only ashes. Craters marked the land. Smoke rose from burning machines. Broken weapons lay across the cracked surface. Among the ruins, a human soldier moved very slowly, dragging himself across the ground. His name was Bren. His body was bleeding. His arm was broken. His leg would not move. His helmet was cracked, and one side of his face was burned. The screen inside his suit blinked red. No signal, no oxygen, no hope. Bren had once been part of a team. 10 soldiers had landed on the moon just 3 hours ago. Now, he was the only one left. The others had fallen when the Xyrith ambushed them near the crater edge. The aliens had come from the shadows, fast and without sound. They were not large, but they moved like wind and struck like thunder. Bren had fought. He always did. He had covered his team until the last one fell. Then he had run to the wreck of the dropship, but the ship was burning. Its engines were gone. Its power was dead. There would be no rescue. Now he lay beneath a fallen wing of the ship, half buried under a sheet of metal. He stared up at the sky. The stars spun slowly above. His breath was short. Cold filled his bones. He was dying. High above the ridge, a shadow stood watching. A figure cloaked in a long, dark coat, unmoving, silent as stone. She had been watching for some time. Her name was Vera. Vera was not human. She was a Nightborn, one of the old ones from beyond the known systems. Her kind were rare now, hidden in the deep places of space. Long ago, the Nightborn had ruled dark corners of the galaxy, feeding on the life energy of other beings. Some had called them monsters. Others had called them gods. Now most believed they were gone. Vera had come to the moon not to fight, but to observe. She had been hiding in the old tunnels below the surface when the battle began. She had seen the humans arrive. She had seen them fall. And then she had seen one man survive. Bren had not given up. Even when his body failed, he kept moving. Even when fire rained from above, he crawled forward. Vera had seen soldiers before. Many had strength. Many had courage. But something in this man was different. He refused to die. Vera walked slowly down the ridge, her boots making no sound on the rock. Her eyes glowed faintly, violet and silver. Her hair was dark as night, tied back to keep it from the wind. She moved like smoke, her shape soft and unclear at the edges. Bren saw her through his broken visor. At first, he thought it was another Xyrith. He tried to raise his hand, but it would not move. He tried to speak, but his throat was too dry. Vera knelt beside him. She tilted her head. Her voice was soft and calm. "You are dying," she said. Bren gave no answer. He could only blink. "Your blood is nearly gone," she said again. "Your heart is weak. You will not live another hour." Still, Bren said nothing. Vera paused. She should have left. Her kind did not interfere with human war. But something held her there. Something pulled her closer. She took a deep breath and spoke one word, "Drink, Bren," frowned weakly. He did not understand. His vision blurred. He blinked again. The shadow beside him moved. Vera brought her wrist to her mouth. With a small motion, she opened her skin. Her blood was not red. It was violet, glowing faintly like starlight. She held the wrist above Bren's lips and let a drop fall. Bren tasted it without meaning to. His tongue moved. Then another drop fell. Then another. Vera watched closely. Her kind never gave their blood to outsiders. It was forbidden. But this man was already half dead. He had nothing to lose. Suddenly, Bren's eyes opened wide. A shock ran through his body. His heart jumped. His lungs filled with air. He gasped, loud and full. His hand moved. His fingers clenched. The pain faded. He sat up slowly, confused, breathing hard. The burns on his face were gone. The cut on his arm was closing. His broken leg shifted as if waking from sleep. He turned to look at her. His mouth opened, but no words came. "You are not fully healed," Vera said, standing again, "but you will live." Bren stared at her. His mind was cloudy. His body felt strange. The cold was gone. Warmth spread through him, but it was not normal warmth. It was like power. What did you do?" he whispered. "I gave you my blood," Vera said simply. "Why?" She was silent for a moment. "Because you would not stop fighting," she said. Even when the sky was falling, Bren looked down at his hands. They were still his, but not the same. His skin was stronger. His pulse was faster. He could hear things he had not heard before. The wind across the rocks, the quiet hum beneath the surface. Vera turned to leave. "Wait," Bren called out, his voice stronger now. "You should rest," she said without turning. "We will speak again when your mind is clear." Then she was gone. The wind blew softly. The stars above still burned. But now the broken sky did not seem so cold. Bren was alive, and he was no longer just human. The ground was cold beneath Bren, but his body no longer felt weak. His wounds were closed. His skin was whole. He could breathe without pain. Yet, something inside him was strange. His heartbeat was not the same. It was slower, but stronger. His vision was sharp, even in the shadows. He could hear the wind like a whisper, and the stone under him like a song. He stood slowly and looked around. The crash site was still a mess of fire and metal. The dropship lay in ruins. Pieces of armor and gear were scattered across the rocks. His helmet was cracked and useless. He tossed it aside and walked forward. Each step felt light, too light. Bren looked at his hands again. He moved his fingers. They were faster than before. His strength was different now, quiet but deep, like power waiting under the surface. He remembered the woman, or the creature. Her name had not been spoken, but her voice stayed in his mind. Calm, cold, clear. She had given him her blood, but why? Bren knew only a few stories of the Nightborn. Long ago, people told tales of shadow creatures who fed on others to survive. Most thought they were myths or monsters from deep space legends. If she was real, and he had tasted her blood, then something serious had happened. He did not know what the blood would do to him in time. All he knew now was this: he was alive, and she had saved him. Suddenly, a sound came from above. A soft low and steady. He looked up and saw lights moving in the sky. Red and white beams scanning slowly across the land. Enemy patrols. The Xy'rith were back. Bren ran, faster than he expected. His legs moved with ease. He reached a pile of rocks and dropped behind them. A drone flew past, scanning the crash site. It hovered, then moved on. He waited for silence, then stood again. He needed cover. He needed a plan. A voice spoke from behind. "You are not hiding well." Bren turned fast, ready to strike, but it was her again. The Nightborn. She stood at the edge of the shadow, watching him without fear. "You followed me," Bren said. "No," she replied. "I stayed nearby." Bren studied her closely now. Her eyes were strange, glowing faintly like moons. Her skin was pale, almost silver. She wore a long coat, dark and smooth. No armor, no weapons. "You saved me," Bren said, "but you didn't have to." "I did not plan to," she answered, "but something changed." "What do you want from me?" "Nothing yet," she said. "But you carry my blood now. You must understand what that means." Bren took a breath. His chest felt tight, but not in pain. It was pressure, like something growing inside. "Explain it to me," he said. "Tell me what you did." Vera looked toward the sky. The red lights were far now. She walked to a cave entrance nearby and nodded. "Come," she said. "We cannot speak here." Bren followed her inside. The cave was cool and quiet. It went deep, far below the surface. As they walked, the walls seemed to glow slightly. Strange symbols were carved into the stone. "This place is old," she said. "My kind built it long before your people reached the stars." Bren looked around. The air was clean. His senses were sharper than ever. He could hear water dripping, far below. He could feel the weight of the mountain above them. Finally, they stopped in a large chamber. A stone table stood in the center. Around it were carvings of creatures with wings and glowing eyes. Vera faced him. "My name is Vera," she said. "I am Nightborn, though my people no longer call themselves that. We live in hiding now, scattered. Quiet." Bren nodded slowly. "And what did you do to me, Vera?" "I gave you my blood," she said. "It saved your life, but it did more than heal. It changed your body. Your heart is still human, but something new has awakened in you." Bren clenched his fist. He could feel it. Strength. Heat. Hunger. "Why me?" he asked. "You fought to your last breath," she said. "You did not surrender. You were broken, but you moved. My kind respect such will. It is rare." Bren looked down. He was a soldier, trained to fight, but now he felt like more than that. He felt like something powerful, something waiting to be unleashed. "Will it get worse?" he asked. "This change." Vera paused. "It depends," she said. "The blood does not control you. It only opens the path. You must choose what you become." Bren sat on the edge of the stone table. He felt tired again, but not from weakness. His mind was full. "So what now?" he asked. "You gave me this gift or curse, and now I walk away?" "No," Vera said. "Now you survive. The Xyrith are searching. They saw what happened at the crash site. They know someone lived." Bren stood. "Then I'll fight," he said. "I won't let them take this moon." "You will not win alone," Vera said. "And if you use the blood too quickly, you may lose yourself." Bren looked at her. "Then teach me," he said. "If you gave me this power, help me control it." Vera studied him for a long moment. Then she nodded once. "Very well," she said. "But know this. If you fall into the hunger, I will end you myself." Bren gave a short breath that might have been a laugh. "Fair deal." Outside, the moon still burned. Ships moved through the sky. War continued, but in the caves below, something new had begun. The days on the broken moon passed slowly. Light never lasted long, and the sky remained filled with floating dust and drifting wreckage. The battle above had ended, but the war was still near. Deep under the ground, in the forgotten caves, Bren trained with Vera. The air was cold, but his body no longer noticed it. Since the blood had entered him, something had changed. He could move faster. His wounds healed in hours. He could see clearly in the dark. But the strength came with something else, a pressure inside like a storm waiting to break. Vera watched him carefully as he moved through the stone chamber. She gave simple instructions, no loud commands, no sharp words, just calm teaching. Focus on balance. She said, "Power is nothing without control." Bren breathed slowly. He stepped forward, spun, and struck the air. His arm cut through like a blade. He felt the movement flow through him like a river. "Again," Vera said. He repeated the steps, then again, then faster. His boots tapped the stone floor with perfect rhythm. Vera nodded once. "You are learning quickly." Bren stood still, sweat on his forehead but no sign of weakness. "This power," he said, "it grows stronger each day." "It does," she answered, "and it will keep growing. But there is a danger. The more you use it, the more it will ask from you." Bren frowned. "What does it want?" Vera looked at him with steady eyes. "It wants to survive. The blood is ancient. It remembers fear. It remembers hunger. If you give in to it, it will take more than your body. It will take your mind." Bren turned away and picked up a piece of metal. It had once been part of his dropship. He held it in both hands, then bent it in half with one clean motion. "I won't let it control me," he said. "I'm still human." "For now," Vera said quietly. Later, they sat near the deep pool that glowed faintly in the dark. Bren drank the clean water and looked at his reflection. His face had changed. Not much, but enough. His eyes were brighter. His skin was smoother. His veins sometimes showed a soft light beneath. Vera sat across from him, silent. Her presence was calm, but he felt something hidden beneath her quiet voice. A kind of sadness. "Have you ever given your blood to anyone else?" Bren asked. "No," she said. "Then why me?" She did not answer right away. The water rippled beside them. "Because I saw fire in you," she said. "You were dying, but you still moved. That kind of spirit is rare, even among my people." Bren nodded. He looked back at his reflection. "I don't feel like a hero," he said. "You are not a hero," she said. "You are a weapon. The only question is who will use it, you or something else." Suddenly, a sharp sound echoed through the cave. A deep rumble followed. Dust fell from the ceiling. Bren stood quickly. Vera was already on her feet. "What was that?" Bren asked. She closed her eyes for a moment. "Above us," she said. "A ship has landed." Bren moved toward the tunnel. "Zyrith?" "No," she said. "Not their pattern. It feels human." They made their way up through the tunnels. Bren moved ahead, his senses sharp. He could hear every stone, every breath of air. The power inside him was awake. They reached a crack in the rock wall. Bren looked out and saw a small human scout ship on the surface, half covered in dust. A team of 5 soldiers moved around it. They were scanning the wreckage of the dropship. Bren stepped out into the open. One of the soldiers turned and raised a weapon. "Hold fire," Bren said. The others stopped and stared. The soldier in front lowered his weapon slowly. "Who are you?" he asked. "Sergeant Bren?" He said, "I was part of Team Echo 12. We crashed here 3 days ago." The soldier looked shocked. "There were no survivors reported," he said. "We scanned the crash site. Nothing moved." "I was buried under the ship," Bren said. "I got out after the scan passed." He walked closer. The other soldiers looked at him with confusion. His armor was damaged, but his body looked fresh. Too fresh. One of them stepped back. "What happened to your face?" she asked. Bren touched his cheek. The burn was gone. Only smooth skin remained. He could not explain that part. Before he could answer, Vera stepped into view. The soldiers raised their weapons again. "Hold your fire," Bren said quickly. "She's not the enemy. What is she?" "She saved my life." The lead soldier narrowed his eyes. "That's a Nightborn, isn't it?" "Yes," Bren said. There was a long silence. Then the soldier lowered his weapon. "You'd be dead without her?" "Yes." The soldier nodded. Then, "I guess we owe her thanks." Vera said nothing. She watched them with quiet eyes. "We're pulling out soon," the soldier said. "Command thinks the moon is lost. Too many Xyrith patrols." "We can't hold it." Bren looked up at the stars. "Let them leave," he said. "But I'm not done yet." "You can't fight alone," the soldier said. "I'm not alone anymore," Bren replied. The soldier looked at Vera, then back at Bren. "I'll report you as found. Alive. Changed. We'll see what command says." The team left, leaving behind a small pack of supplies. Bren and Vera stood together as the ship lifted off and vanished into the sky. Bren looked at the land ahead. The moon was quiet again, but it would not stay that way. Vera looked at him. "You told the truth. You are still human." Bren smiled slightly. For now, the silence on the moon did not last. The stars above still flickered, but the air had changed. Even the dust seemed to move differently. Bren stood at the edge of a rocky cliff, his eyes fixed on the horizon. He could feel it now, deep in his bones. Danger was coming. Vera stood beside him, her coat flowing lightly in the wind. She looked calm, but her sharp eyes scanned the sky. "They are here," she said. Bren nodded. He could feel the same thing. It was not sound or light that warned him. It was something deeper, a pressure in the air, a taste in his blood. The Xyrith were coming back. Vera moved first. She led Bren down through narrow paths between the rocks. They reached a hidden tunnel that dropped into an old mining shaft. The walls were made of dark stone, and the air inside was heavy. "They will scan the surface," she said. "But they do not know these tunnels. We have some time." "How many?" Bren asked. "I felt 4 ships," Vera replied. "Maybe 20 soldiers. Maybe more." Bren clenched his fists. His heart beat slow and steady, but his mind raced. "We need to hit them first," he said, "before they search too deep." "You are not ready for many," Vera warned. "Your strength grows, but it is not full yet." "I can't hide," Bren said. "This moon has already taken too many of us." Vera looked at him. Her voice was calm. "Then we strike fast, one patrol at a time, and we stay in the shadows." Bren gave a quick nod. They moved through the tunnels like wind. Bren no longer felt tired. The darkness was not his enemy anymore. His feet moved without sound. His eyes saw everything, even in pitch black. The blood inside him burned like fire, but a cold fire that kept him sharp. At the far end of the tunnel, Vera stopped. "There," she said, pointing up toward a metal grate. Bren climbed carefully. He pushed the grate open and looked out. A Xerath. Patrol walked across the ridge above. 5 figures in black armor. Their weapons glowed with blue light. They moved in silence, scanning the ground with their eyes and strange tools. Bren climbed out and waited. Vera stayed in the shadow behind him. As the patrol passed by, Bren struck. He moved like lightning, faster than any human should. He reached the first enemy and took its weapon before it could speak. With a sharp blow, the Xerath dropped to the ground. The second turned, but Bren was already behind it. The fight was quick and silent. In less than 30 seconds, all 5 Xerath were down. Their weapons lay in the dust. Their armor cracked open. Vera stepped forward. "You held back," she said. "I didn't need full strength." Bren replied. "That is good," she said. "The blood did not rule you." Bren looked at his hands. They were clean. His mind was still. "Clear. We'll take their weapons and keep moving," he said. They dragged the bodies into the rocks and hid the gear. Then they moved on. Across the moon's surface, the other Xerath teams began to notice. One patrol did not report. Then another. A commander on the lead ship sent a message to the surface. "Search deeper. Something is here." The Xerath were hunters. They did not fear much, but something in the air made them uneasy. The wind carried strange whispers. Their machines flickered without cause, and some of them felt watched. Bren and Vera struck again the next night, this time from below. A patrol camped near a broken engine tower. They had lights and scanners set up, but none of their tools warned them of the shadow beneath their feet. Vera led the way. She moved through the cracks in the stone like smoke. Bren followed, quiet and strong. They rose behind the enemy, fast and unseen. Bren took 2 down with clean strikes. Vera handled the third with ease. The fourth tried to run but fell before reaching the edge. Bren stood over the last soldier. He saw fear in the Xerath's eyes. He could hear its heartbeat. For a moment, something inside him reached out. A deep hunger, a wish to take more. He stepped back. Vera placed her hand on his arm. "You stopped yourself," she said. "That matters," Bren breathed slowly. "I almost didn't, but you did," she said. "That is your victory." They looked up at the sky. One of the Xerath ships was changing position. It hovered lower, scanning the ridge with sharp lights. The moon rumbled softly under their feet. "They are getting ready," Bren said. "Yes," Vera replied. "They will not wait much longer. They know someone is hunting them." "Then we give them what they fear," he said. She looked at him. "You are ready for more." Bren nodded. That night they climbed the high ridge where the lead Xerath team had built a command post. It was guarded by 10 soldiers and 2 drones. Vera pointed at the edge where power cables ran to a small tower. "We can cut the signal first," she said. "I'll draw them out." Bren said. Vera vanished into the dark. Bren walked forward, slow and steady. The guards saw him and raised their weapons. "Halt!" one of them shouted. Bren kept walking. "Stop, or we fire," the soldier warned. Then Bren ran. He moved too fast for their eyes. His body blurred. Their shots missed. He hit the line of guards like a storm. The first fell with a hard blow. The second flew backward into a wall. Drones spun to target him, but Vera's blades sliced them from behind. In seconds, the camp was broken. Bren stood in the middle of the wreckage, breathing hard. His eyes glowed faintly. His skin shimmered in the moonlight. The last Xyrith soldier tried to crawl away. Bren reached him, but instead of striking, he knelt beside him. "Tell your commanders," Bren said. "There's a human on this moon who doesn't fear you." The soldier said nothing. Vera stepped forward. "You're becoming something more," she said. "Maybe," Bren answered. He looked up at the stars again. "But I'm still me." The moon's cold wind swept over the broken cliffs, carrying the quiet sounds of battle and silence. Bren stood near the edge of a crater, his eyes scanning the horizon. The Xyrith were still searching, but now they feared something more than just a single soldier. Vera watched from behind him, her presence steady and calm. The blood inside Bren burned hotter now. The power was stronger. But so was the hunger. "You feel it," she said softly. Bren nodded. His breath came steady, but his hands trembled slightly. "It is not just strength," Vera continued. "It is the fire within. It gives you power, but it also asks for more." Bren clenched his fists. He had felt the pull before, the hunger. That whispered at night, that told him to use the blood without care, to become something else, to lose himself. "I won't lose control," he said firmly. "I have to keep my mind." Vera stepped closer. "That is the hardest part. The blood fights for survival. It will test you every day." Bren looked at the stars above. The cold light was distant and calm, but his own heart was a storm. Days passed, and the war on the moon grew fiercer. Bren and Vera moved like shadows, striking at Xyrith patrols, cutting their supplies, breaking their lines. Each time Bren used his new power, he felt the fire grow inside him. His speed, his strength, even his senses became sharper. But so did the hunger. One night, after a battle near a shattered tower, Bren sat alone by a small fire in the caves. Vera was away, gathering supplies. The firelight flickered across his face. He felt the thirst again, the strange craving that was not for water or food. He closed his eyes and took a deep breath. The hunger was not just for strength. It was for life, for energy, for something beyond human. Suddenly the fire beside him flared bright, and in the reflection he saw his own eyes glowing faintly red. He stood up quickly and splashed cold water on his face. The glow disappeared. "This is the price," he whispered. Vera returned to the cave, carrying a small bag of herbs and fresh water. "You feel it again?" she said softly. Bren nodded. "You must learn to control it," Vera said, "or it will control you." "How?" Bren asked. Vera sat beside him. "The blood is old and powerful, but it can be guided. You must focus your mind, find peace in the chaos. Use the fire to protect, not destroy." Bren looked at her closely. "Teach me," he said. For the next days, Vera trained Bren in ways beyond fighting. She taught him to calm his mind, to listen to the quiet moments, to breathe slowly and feel the blood's rhythm. It was not easy. Bren struggled. Sometimes the hunger was too strong. Sometimes the power pushed him to act before he thought. But slowly, he learned. One morning, Vera took Bren to a high cliff overlooking the moon's surface. The light was faint, but real. The sun was rising. "Look," she said, "the fire inside you can be like the sun. Bright, strong, but controlled." Bren watched the light spread across the rocks and valleys. He felt a new hope. Suddenly, a loud sound broke the quiet. A ship was landing nearby. "They have found us," Vera said calmly. Bren's eyes narrowed. His body tightened. This time, they would not run. They moved quickly through the rocks toward the landing site. The ship was large and silver, different from the Xerith vessels. Its markings were clear, human. But this was not Bren's team. A group of soldiers came out. Their armor was heavy and clean. They moved with purpose. Their leader stepped forward, a woman with sharp eyes. "Identify yourselves," she commanded. Bren stepped into the open. "Sergeant Bren," he said. "I survived the crash. I fight with the Nightborn." The soldiers looked at Vera and then back at Bren. Suspicion filled the air. "We are from the Galactic Security Force," the leader said. "We received a distress signal from this moon. Our mission is to secure the area and capture all enemies." Bren shook his head. "This moon is not safe," he said. "The Xerith are here. We are fighting to keep it free." The leader's eyes softened for a moment. "We can help," she said. "But you must come with us. There is much to explain." Vera stepped forward. "Trust is not given lightly," she said, "especially between humans and Nightborn." The leader nodded. "Agreed," she said, "but we must work together if we want to survive." Bren looked at Vera. Her eyes met his. "Very well," he said, "but on my terms." The soldiers lowered their weapons. The group moved toward the ship. Inside, the leader explained the situation. The Xerith were planning a large attack. They wanted to take the moon and use it as a base for their invasion of human space. "We need your knowledge of the terrain," she said, "and your strength." Bren listened carefully. The blood inside him flared softly. The fire was still there, but now he felt ready. "We will fight together," Bren said, "but I will not lose myself." Vera nodded beside him. The new alliance was fragile, but it gave hope. As the sun rose fully over the moon, Bren stood tall. The fire within him burned bright, but he held it close. The war was not over, but the human warrior was ready. The new alliance brought a flicker of hope to the cold moon. Bren moved with purpose among the soldiers from the Galactic Security Force. Vera stayed close, her eyes sharp and watchful. The silver ship was their base now. Inside, soldiers prepared. Weapons, planned attacks, and shared stories. Bren listened but kept his focus on the blood within him. The fire was stronger than ever. Sometimes it whispered to him in the quiet moments, tempting him to let go. But Bren held on. The leader of the soldiers, Commander Mira, stood beside him one evening. Her face was serious but kind. "We need your help to plan the attack," she said. "The Xerith will come hard and fast." Bren nodded. "I know the terrain. I can show you where to strike." Vera stepped forward. "And I will guide you through the shadows. We move where they do not expect." The plan was simple but dangerous. They would hit the enemy ships on the ground before the Xerith could prepare. Then they would cut off their supply lines and force them to retreat. The soldiers trained with Bren. They learned to move quietly, to watch the shadows, to trust the Nightborn warrior. On the day of the battle, the moon was cold and silent. The sky was a deep black and stars blinked far away. Bren stood with Vera and Commander Mira. "The troops were ready. This is our chance," Mira said. "We fight for this moon, for our homes." Bren's eyes burned with determination. "We fight to survive." Vera gave a small nod. "Stay close and watch each other. The blood inside Bren will guide us." The first strike was quick. Under the cover of darkness, Bren and Vera led small groups of soldiers to the enemy landing zones. The Zereth guards were caught off guard. Bren's speed and strength stunned them. He moved like a shadow, striking with power and precision. Vera's blades were silent and deadly. The soldiers followed, fighting with courage, but the Zereth were strong. They fought back fiercely. The battle spread across the moon's surface. Explosions shook the ground. Lasers flashed in the dark. The air was filled with shouts and the hum of energy weapons. Bren felt the fire inside him grow hotter. The hunger was there, but he pushed it down. He had to stay clear. He was the weapon, not the beast. At one point, Bren faced a large Zyrith warrior. It was bigger and faster than the others. Its armor glowed with red energy. The two clashed with a force that shook the earth. Bren dodged a powerful strike and struck back. His fists burned with the alien blood. With a final blow, he knocked the warrior down. The battle continued, but the tide began to turn. The Zyrith ships were damaged or destroyed. Their soldiers retreated. Commander Mira smiled. "We did it," she said. "We drove them back." Bren looked at the sky, watching the ships disappear. "But this is only the beginning," he said. Vera nodded. "They will return, stronger." The soldiers cheered, but Bren felt the fire inside him flicker with warning. Later, Bren sat alone again by the fire in the caves. The battle had left many wounded and tired. Vera joined him. "You carry the moon's fate inside you," she said softly. Bren looked at her. "I carry the blood," he said, "but I am still human." She smiled slightly. "For now." The night was quiet, but the war was far from over. The cold moon slowly warmed under the distant sun. The battle was over, but the scars remained. Bren stood at the edge of a cliff, looking down at the broken land below. The fires of war had faded, but the memory stayed. Vera stood beside him, quiet but strong. Her eyes reflected the pale light, filled with a strange hope. "The Zyrith will return," she said. Bren nodded. "They will. But we will be ready." The blood inside him had changed. It was no longer just fire or hunger. It was a part of him, a power he could control, a gift and a burden. "I am not the same man who landed here," Bren said. "But I am still me." Vera smiled softly. "That is the true strength. To keep your soul, even when the world tries to change you." The new soldiers from the Galactic Security Force worked alongside the Nightborn warriors. Together, they rebuilt what they could. They planted seeds in the soil. They cleaned the water. They made homes from the ruins. Bren helped where he could. His body was stronger now, but his heart was still human. He taught the soldiers to listen to the land, to respect the moon's silence. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Bren and Vera stood on a hill. The sky was painted with colors of orange and purple. "Do you think the blood will always be with me?" Bren asked. Vera looked at him thoughtfully. "It will, but you choose what it means. Power can be a curse or a blessing. You decide," Bren smiled. "I choose to protect." Vera nodded. "Good. The galaxy needs warriors like you." The days turned to weeks, and peace grew slowly. The moon was no longer just a battlefield. It was a home. But Bren knew the war was not over. The Zyrith would come again, maybe stronger, maybe with new plans. Still, he was ready. The fire inside him was no longer wild. It was steady and bright, like the stars above. He looked at Vera and said, "Together, we can face anything." She smiled and took his hand. "We always do." The human warrior who was once dying had been given new life. Not just by alien blood, but by hope, courage, and friendship. The moon was dark, but it held a new dawn, and the story was just beginning.